19 minutes before the hour, and scientists are calling it the most Earth-like planet they've ever discovered. They're calling it the Goldilocks planet because it's not too hot and not too cold. Potentially perfect for harboring water and then possibly life. This is an artist rendering of what the new planet might look like, but before you pack your bags, it's kind of far away. 20 light years or so, depending upon the weather and the traffic flow. But scientists are excited because the planet is almost the same distance from its star as we are from our star. A look at this chart shows you, and experts say its location could make life possible. With us now, astronomer at the Carnegie Institute of Science, Alan Boss is with us. He's also the author of The Crowded Universe, The Search for Living Planets. Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sheps. Good to be here. Good to be out of the rain.
No doubt. Do you think we might have found a living planet, really?
I think this is the best case presented to date. And the important thing about this planet is that it might actually have an atmosphere where it could rain, just as it's doing today on the East Coast. And while we may not care for rain on the East Coast, it's pretty crucial to having life on a planet. So that's the big breakthrough, is a possible planet which could have liquid water on its surface.
Now, you've been following this star for, what, a decade or more, right?
Search has been done by my colleagues, Paul Butler from the Carnegie Institution and Stephen Vogt from the Lick Observatory. They've been following it for about 12 years now. It's taken that much data to really tease out exactly what's in the system.
Is it going to be possible to find out, for instance, is there carbon dioxide, is there an atmosphere, that sort of thing?
That's exactly what we want to ask next and figure out how to do it. There are plans that NASA has made for several decades to launch powerful new space telescopes that could do those observations. The problem is those space telescopes are difficult to build. They cost several $billion. And in the current budget environment, we just can't afford to do that. But NASA is planning on trying to develop the technology to develop such a telescope so that maybe 10 or 20 or 30 years from now we'll launch it and actually see if this planet does indeed have life as we suspect it does.
Based on its relative distance to its star, what's the thinking, or is there a way to calculate what surface temperature might be like?
We know the distance of the planet from the star. We know how bright the star is. So you can actually calculate that if it was just a rock sitting there in space, it should be roughly at a temperature of, say, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, which is obviously a little bit too cold for liquid water. But if that rock has some atmosphere on it and has a little bit of a greenhouse operating on it, that could warm the planet up to a level where, at least on part of the planet, there could be liquid water part of the time. Part might be frozen, part might be liquid. It's just close enough to having the possibility of having liquid water that's the best case yet for a potentially habitable world.
Well, that sounds a lot like here. You know, in fact, I was reading one estimation is that in the extremes it might go down as low as, and I'm talking Fahrenheit here, as low as 25 below and as high as 160. But in the temperate zones, if the atmosphere is what they hope it might be, could be short sleeve weather.
Right. It'd be sort of like the best day possible in Antarctica. Not that you want to live there all the time, but actually Antarctica has life living in its dry valleys.
We know they're not little men who are jumping back and forth between there and here, right? I'm told to ask you that.
No, they're probably, if there's life on this planet, the most likely life we'll find evidence for would be something akin to bacteria on our planet. That's the easiest sort of life form to find, actually.
Well, it's a fascinating discovery and a lot to read about at foxnews.com and elsewhere. Alan Boss, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shep.
First